This series has a talent for storytelling with few words, where it's all visual, and that can be grand stories across a long stretch of time without a word. Just breathtaking sequences, but it can even be a set of earrings which are just sort of there, existing, being all red and dangly. But if you drill down, they say a ton about characters, the world, the journey we're all on, all without ever having any attention drawn to them. Alright, so I want to talk about storytelling through character design, because that sounds a lot better than I want to talk about clothes and jewelry, and symbolism, and this old lady. But there's a really important theme behind the minor details. This is a dramatic device that's quite common in some ways, but done here in a much more unique way. Storytelling through a tiny character design detail, through symbols, it's really quite impressive. Silent storytelling in Frieren. The examples that are probably leaping to mind are those fantastic montages, and yeah, it's good stuff. Very good stuff. But I'm talking about the smaller details that get the story across without showing anything. There's so much detail within some of these character design changes that can illuminate a lot about the development. As a dramatic device, changing up a character's appearance to signal developmental growth, it isn't new. Especially for anime that has a younger cast that age physically as they develop, or even simply get a bit more in shape as the story develops. Those are some really common cases, but what Frieren does is something quite different. Her character design can't change for age because, well, she ages super gracefully. Instead, the designs change in other ways to incorporate growth, in kind of a subversion of the normal development where a character ages over time as they mature. It's storytelling through how a character symbolically takes on elements of their past, in spite of them staying the same visually. I want to talk about a few times where this series doesn't do its normal storytelling. It doesn't actually tell anything. It just leaves the reader and viewer to see the change, gives them the benefit of the doubt to dwell on something and find the conclusion themselves. There's examples in the character design, in how the world is laid out. It's all over. Now, as season 2 is starting, we're getting showcases of the new character designs, and looking at them, in the kind of detail you can only do when there's still a bit of time to kill before it comes back on. The manga's on hiatus, and there isn't really anything else going on, or dwelling like that on these minor details. It brings to mind some past changes in character design, because the development in Frieren's look has been really quite meaningful. Like her earrings, they're in tons of shots of Frieren. Even when she's in the background, they're there. She always wears them, and they're actually a permanent showcase of a deciding factor in Frieren's growth, because Frieren wears her character development. Frieren in the present day wears these robes. It's her default look. It's never quite explained why she's taken to wearing exactly this outfit. A lot of people have filled in the gap though, and it seems like there's an obvious solution. There's a deeper meaning here than it just being a set of clothes. It's using purely visual elements to say the unsaid, and her faith that the audience will figure it out. We see Frieren before she leaves with Himmel's party like this, and at the outset of the journey, like this. She starts wearing church robes pretty quickly after joining them. Presumably, Haida just grabs them for her, because in his formal attire at the funeral, he's wearing the same robes. So it seems the church wears these robes for funerals. So either a load of holy men decided the most respectful way to honor Himmel was to surround him with Frieren cosplays, and actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, it might have been that. You would have liked that. But the easier solution is that these are formal church robes for the special occasions, not the everyday, and Frieren just borrowed some and never bothers changing. In the past, she was a lot plainer. The earrings are missing, there's no church robes. One sequence I find always has a ton to offer is where we meet Frieren's master and learn about the dawn of magic in their world. It's where we get to see her before and after. And it's a trend we see repeated across her lifetime, beyond clothes, that she wears her character development. Frieren's design in this period is a lot different, it's simpler. This sequence as a whole is a great example of how Frieren uses symbolism all over for some silent storytelling. Like, we can see the same dramatic principle at work outside of the character design and how it communicates the setting as quickly as possible. It's a quick way to get the vague time setting across in a limited number of panels and screen time. It's a more ancient civilization looking thing in the background. It's robes, it's columns, it's a different blend. It's not really dating to anything specific, just implying a general vibe and letting the audience fill it in. It's a visual shorthand for this is much longer ago than, the main bit, which is also kind of in the past, but there's magic and dragons. Frieren's world age doesn't exactly map onto ours properly, but it uses these visual elements to give us an idea of how long ago we are, so even a speed reader can pick up on it. It's not uncommon to see something similar done for flashbacks like these. It's why characters are often dressed very similarly as a child, but we get a lot more visual symbolism in these flashbacks, and they're often a lot easier to miss. It uses the same trick to show something quite important about Frieren. Elements of character design, they can often say the unsaid, and since Frieren doesn't age and doesn't care enough to change her clothes all that often, we don't get the traditional methods of developing her look to show growth. We have to look further. It makes the more minor changes to her appearance much more important. So Frieren's normal character design is this, right? So, earrings, but they're not Frieren's, it seems. These earrings most likely belong to her old master. In the flashbacks to Flamme, we see Frieren is dressed much more plainly, including no jewelry. But her master wears quite a bit, even a necklace, and in this way, she bears a much starker resemblance to modern-day Frieren, who also wears these earrings. Oh, and her later robes have this button, which is kind of fulfilling the same colour placement as the necklace. I just thought that was cool. That's not the most important thing. So, these are the same earrings. Frieren's have been adapted a little bit to make them work with more sensitive elf ears. They now seem to be clip-ons, but it's also likely they're fashioned from the larger human earrings. So I don't think this is too incredible a jump. It seems pretty directly implied that these are one and the same. It's like the flower spell. It's a thing that got passed down from master to student. She's not just honouring her old master with them. There's a bit more hidden in this change. You see, when Himmel goes to recruit Frieren, a very long time later, she's still not wearing them. In all that time, all those years, she hasn't put them on. She's never felt the need. In fact, her character design has pretty much only changed with the seasons. She's just been waiting otherwise. But when she leaves on that 10-year adventure, it's different. This design doesn't just signal that she's embracing her master's teachings when she goes out into the world. It's showing how deeply this meeting affected her. Frieren, and it seems a lot of elves, have trouble with recognizing their emotions. Frieren doesn't do a lot of reminiscing prior to meeting Himmel, and doesn't seem to view a human life as significant in a time scale like hers. She's too zoomed out to really keep track of them, and before Himmel she doesn't really seem to recognize her own emotions and attachments, being okay with looking back fondly and often. That seems to come later. It's Himmel's influence that makes her put those earrings on to understand herself better. But it's not just being cold before. It's like Rosarie and her students. It isn't an intentional just meanness, but a lack of understanding of your own emotions. We see this visually in Frieren's unchanged design. The process got started in her training, but elves are emotionally stunted. She isn't there yet. It's Himmel who changes that, and there's dramatic moments of her realizing the bigger effect that he had, sure, but even setting out on the quest has gotten her to start wearing her master's old earrings. Being reached out to seems to have begun that change. We only actually see Frieren wearing the earrings once she's out there, and there's not really a good reason to put earrings on to go do something physical like an adventure and killing the Demon King, other than maybe to symbolically represent that you're finally fulfilling your master's expectations. It's a symbolic change in the character design that's provoked by Himmel, and we see the same dramatic trick come up later with another piece of symbolically important jewelry. The kicker with this earring thing is that it isn't even the only time someone important to Frieren gives her a piece of jewelry. She forgets about it for ages, and then through someone else she's able to process those emotions later. We get the whole thing happening again, and this time it's a little more obvious than just genius background details of earrings. Why didn't she wear them earlier? She doesn't understand her emotions or how these things matter to her. It's actually the same character trait that we see with Himmel's ring. She doesn't understand why the ring was worth hanging on to, but she did. We see her taking looks at the ring, trying to figure out why a few times, but it's not until it's lost that I think she realizes the significance. It was a gift from someone that she's crossing the world to try and see again, a remnant of that connection, and finding it would be preferable to leaving it behind, even if she doesn't understand why. She works this out when someone in the present pushes her in a similar way. I think the Himmel ring story is very similar to the story behind Frieren's earrings, only that one isn't spelled out for us. It's just hiding in the changes to her character design. But by having such a similar thing happen with the other piece of jewelry that's important, it prods you to pick up on the earrings, and by looking at that character design, we can see a lot of the ways that Frieren has grown. Other elves we meet are similar, connecting remnants of those they loved, but without the ability to process it. But we see it with others too, even if we're limiting our analysis to just jewelry, which I know is a weird self-imposed limit, but there's a strangely high number of meaningful jewelry in this fantasy action manga. We see the same thing with Stark and his bracelets, and then there's Fern's various pieces, which are the same as the earrings from a master and a ring from a love interest. Only one represents a blossoming love and the other's still kind of sleeping. There's a lot of echoes. It's a little dramatic trick, but one that comes up all the time in Frieren, using something as simple as adding an earring to a character to explain the thousands of years they've lived coldly. But symbolically, there's way more to the earrings, and I think the timing of when she puts them on is important. It represents the shift from solitary life to embracing what Flamme expected of her, the impact one person can have. The earrings are symbolic. They're a way of showing Flamme's impact in Frieren's everyday. So she killed the Demon King. Well, I suppose the whole party did, really. I mean, I'm not trying to diminish their contributions. But her master's impact has been grander, contributing to magic spreading out through the world more generally. I think Frieren's ground-level modern-day approach of getting to know the world, that's just as representative of Flamme's impact in that 10-year adventure as her continuing to wear her uniform from that time period. One is symbolic, the other is behavioral, but they mean the same things. On a larger scale, we get to see that Flamme brought magic to society, and the party brought in an era of peace. But on a personal level, Flamme told Frieren she'd change one day, started that process off, and then gave her hope about seeing someone again. The party showed how powerful the interpersonal can be, the richness that lies beyond just waiting, which has in his own way set off quite a lot of little bits of kindness as she's been back traveling again. It's let these two find each other, saved a decent few people from demons, helped plenty of people with minor tasks too. And the journey Frieren has been on, it's all on show in her design, and the lingering impact of two very important people as shown through two pieces of jewelry. Hey, I've been Comfy Lilin. Thanks for getting all the way through if you did. There's plenty more videos, and you should sub if you liked it, you know? Alright, cheers.